Welcome to Frightful Fiction Factory. Tonight, we delve into the terrifying and true story of Harper's Factory, a place shrouded in mystery, tragedy, and inexplicable horror. Sit tight, and let the fear seep in. Harper's Factory opened its doors in 1901, nestled on the outskirts of the small, thriving town of Millhaven. It quickly became the heartbeat of the community, providing jobs and a sense of purpose to the townsfolk. The factory specialized in textiles, producing high-quality fabrics that were shipped across the country. Jonathan Harper, the factory's founder, was a stern but visionary businessman. He saw potential where others saw desolation. Under his watchful eye, the factory's productivity soared. However, whispers of his ruthless nature and the harsh working conditions began to circulate among the workers. As the years went by, the initial excitement surrounding Harper's Factory began to wane. Workers endured long hours in hazardous conditions. The machinery was dangerous, and safety protocols were virtually non-existent. Injuries were common, and compensation was rare. Jonathan Harper's reputation as a tyrant grew, but the town's dependence on the factory kept dissent at bay. In 1918, a particularly severe winter exacerbated the workers' suffering. The factory's heating systems were inadequate, and many workers fell ill. Despite the dire conditions, Harper demanded increased production to meet growing demand. Tensions reached a boiling point. On the night of January 12, 1923, disaster struck. A fire broke out in the factory's eastern wing, quickly spreading through the building. The cause of the fire was never definitively determined, but rumors suggested faulty wiring or sabotage by disgruntled workers. Panic ensued as the flames engulfed the factory, trapping many inside. Witnesses described this scene as hellish. The screams of those trapped inside echoed through the night, mingling with the crackling of the flames. Firefighters from nearby towns rushed to Millhaven, but their efforts were in vain. The factory was reduced to a smoldering ruin, and over 30 workers perished in the inferno. The fire left Millhaven in a state of shock and mourning. Families grieved for their lost loved ones, and the town held a somber memorial for the victims. Jonathan Harper, whose reputation had already been marred, became a pariah. Accusations of negligence and mistreatment flew, but Harper remained unrepentant, insisting the fire was an unforeseeable tragedy. With the factory in ruins and the town's lifeline severed, many residents were forced to leave in search of work elsewhere. Millhaven, once a bustling community, began to wither. The ruins of Harper's Factory stood as a grim reminder of the town's lost prosperity and the lives cut short by the fire. In the months following the fire, strange occurrences began to plague the remains of Harper's Factory. At first, It was just the occasional passerby who reported seeing flickering lights in the factory's ruins or hearing distant, disembodied voices. But soon, the hauntings became more pronounced and impossible to ignore. Local teenagers, drawn by the allure of the macabre, started daring each other to enter the factory at night. Many emerged pale and trembling, recounting tales of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds. Some claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving among the charred remnants, while others heard the faint, mournful cries of the trapped souls. By 1925, the hauntings had intensified. The factory ruins became a focal point for paranormal enthusiasts and researchers. Reports of spectral sightings and unexplained phenomena attracted attention from across the state. One night, a group of amateur ghost hunters ventured into the factory, equipped with cameras and recording devices. Their footage revealed disturbing anomalies, shadowy figures darting in and out of frame, chilling EVP recordings of voices pleading for help, and sudden drops in temperature. One investigator claimed to have felt an icy hand grip his shoulder, leaving a bruise in the shape of a human handprint. The legend of Harper's Factory grew, and with it, the fear that the spirits trapped within were growing restless. Jonathan Harper's health began to decline in the late 1920s. Consumed by guilt or perhaps haunted by the very spirits of his former employees, Harper became a reclusive figure. He spent his final years in isolation, his once powerful presence reduced to a shadow of its former self. In 1931, Jonathan Harper was found dead in his study. The official cause was a heart attack, but local folklore insists he was driven to his death by the vengeful spirits of those who perished in the fire. His death did little to quell the hauntings, and some even claimed they intensified, as if the spirits were celebrating their tormentor's demise. In the 1950s and 60s, professional paranormal investigators turned their attention to Harper's Factory. Equipped with advanced technology for the time, they sought to document and understand the hauntings. Their findings were both fascinating and terrifying. High EMF readings indicated strong paranormal activity. Temperature fluctuations and unexplained cold spots were common. Investigators captured audio recordings of faint voices, some clearly calling for help, while others were garbled and unintelligible. One particularly chilling photograph showed a full-body apparition, an ethereal figure standing in what had once been the main workshop, staring directly into the camera with hollow eyes. These investigations only served to cement Harper's Factory's reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the region. By the late 20th century, the factory had become a popular destination for urban explorers and thrill-seekers. Armed with cameras and flashlights, they ventured into the decaying structure, hoping to capture evidence of the paranormal. Many explorers reported feeling an overwhelming sense of dread upon entering the factory. Some heard the distant clanging of machinery, though the equipment had long been inoperable. Others felt as if they are being watched, their every move scrutinized by unseen eyes. One group of explorers documented their experiences in a short film, capturing unexplained phenomena like orbs of light, ghostly whispers, and sudden temperature drops. The film went viral, drawing even more attention to the haunted factory. In 1998, a tragedy struck that brought renewed scrutiny to Harper's Factory. A group of high school students, intrigued by the factory's dark reputation, decided to spend a night exploring its depths. Among them was a young man named Alex Parker, an aspiring filmmaker who hoped to capture definitive proof of the paranormal. As the night wore on, the group experienced a series of inexplicable events. Doors slammed shut on their own, shadows flitted past their peripheral vision, and eerie, disembodied voices filled the air. Alex, driven by a mix of fear and excitement, ventured deeper into the factory alone, his camera recording every step. When his friends realized he was missing, they searched frantically but found no trace of him. The next morning, Alex's body was discovered in the basement, his face twisted in terror. The official cause of death was ruled as heart failure, but those who knew him insisted he had been scared to death. Alex's death reignited debates about the factory's haunting and brought renewed attention to the dangers of exploring such a notorious site. Today, Harper's Factory stands as a decaying monument to the past. Nature has reclaimed much of the site, but the eerie atmosphere remains. Those brave enough to visit speak of a feeling of being watched, and the sound of machinery echoing through the halls, even though the factory has been silent for nearly a century. Harper's Factory is a testament to the lingering impact of tragedy. It's a place where the past refuses to stay buried, and where the line between the living and the dead blurs. The spirits of those who perished in the fire seem bound to the place of their demise, unable to move on. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of fear. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more tales from Frightful Fiction Factory. Until next time, stay safe and beware the shadows.